It's Batman time, sentient creatures. I am Mara. I'm joined as always by my co-host Trevor.
Yeah, sure. Just briefly before we get started, so I was dancing again while the music was playing. Nobody died this time, right?
That
We're
I
all
know
good.
of. For anyone that
No
wasn't here
actors
last week,
died yet.
breaking news happened the second that we started rolling the episode about William Hurt. So I had to break Trevor's soul right at the beginning of the show. So to my knowledge, everyone's still alive on the whole planet.
We're all still
Everybody.
Good. Cool. That's great to hear. Yeah, Batman.
And guess what, everybody? We've got a special guest with the most fabulous hair. Buzz, everybody, for Brandon Hanna.
Hello. I like my hair. It's okay.
I would like the
I like Trevor's hair
comment,
too.
though.
And Mara, I like your hair as well.
We all have good hair. Let's not single one of us out.
I can't see Spider-Man's hair, but that's okay. I'm sure it's nice under there.
Actually, he has Andrew Garfield's hair. Like, I know that's I know that's the same. That's the Tobey Maguire suit, but it's Andrew Garfield in there.
Which
Andrew Garfield in maybe.
Which movie though? Because Amazing Spider-Man 2. I don't know.
Yeah. At least he doesn't have Becky with the good hair. I'm glad it's Andrew Garfield hair.
Yeah,
look at how plugged in I am, kids.
I missed that reference. So,
Toby,
it's a Beyonce thing from Lemonade. Because her husband cheated on her, and then she got mad and wrote an album because she's a boss. I
am unfamiliar with all of this.
I know something pop culture that Trevor doesn't know.
Especially with music, I am very unplugged from pop culture. My music taste consists of Bo Burnham and Sparks and La La Land. So I'm not that plugged. I'm not that plugged in as far as music goes.
I mean, I've never actually listened to Lemonade, but I know of Lemonade. I've also made Lemonade, very different, but same. Yeah.
I've actually never listened to music of any kind.
Okay.
I did not expect that to be nearly as funny as it was.
Yeah.
I get that a lot.
Well, okay, why don't we start off with just generally speaking? I know that Trevor and I gave some vague thoughts, and I know that I've talked privately with you, Brandon, a little bit about your thoughts, but generally speaking, we all leaned positive on this movie.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Let's talk about that more. Brandon, you're a guest. Why don't you lead off with some of your favorite things that you saw? If there were any reservations you had, what were they?
Yes, the Batman, correct? That's what we're talking about.
Yep, the one that just happened.
Awesome, great. Yes, I love Michael Keaton. I got the wrong one. Dang it.
That guy's Beetlejuice. That's the different guy.
Yes, of course.
This one stars Val Kilmer. I mean, it's How do you? Yeah.
Just don't say
George Clooney wants to sell me an espresso machine, and I'm here for it, but I can't afford that. So
he already sold me one.
Are you serious? You have an espresso, and you didn't even offer me that when I came over?
No, I don't. This is actually, I was just playing it for the bit. This is just a can of cold brew I mixed with some almond milk. But for your audience at home, it was George Clooney.
You could have lied to me, and I would have just been 100% okay with that.
I'm incapable of lying. I crack immediately.
Well, next time I come over, there better be an espresso machine there. You got 2 weeks.
I'm not quite Ana de Armas in Knives Out. I don't throw up or anything, but just immediately I'll be like, no, I'm sorry, that's not true.
I attempt to lie. I'm just very bad at it. It's very obvious when I lie. Like I can do it. I can convince myself, but nobody else.
That's scary. You could be lying right now for all I know.
I'm not going to comment on the issue.
But yes, the Batman. Boom, 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 boom. I love that score. Yeah. It is very good. I wasn't too sure of it at first when Michael Giacchino released it before the movie came out. I was like, okay, I'm kind of getting some Elfman, Batman the Animated Series vibes from this. This is cool. This feels Batman-y to me. But yeah, the score was great, especially within the context of the movie. I've been listening to it so much since, knowing what scenes play over certain songs and moments. I'm like, yeah, I am vengeance. It's great. But overall, really liked the movie. Really liked the tone and the performances, and there was actually like some good humor in there that worked. It was very Batman. It was like what like the Arkham games are, and like what I know from like the comics, which is not very little, but I do know a little bit. Or not very much, but I do know a little bit. There you go. But it was a very good Batman movie. I very much enjoyed it.
I know one thing I thought before going into it. I was like, all right, naming convention. I was like, all right, the Batman. Oh man, we're Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squadding everything nowadays, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, this is the most appropriate title for this movie ever, because this movie was so much Batman and so little Bruce Wayne, and it worked. It totally worked for me. I know some people had issues with that, and I'm sure we'll see more Bruce Wayne going forward, but the Batman, perfect title, right?
Yeah, it most definitely worked for this, 100%.
It's very Batman-centric. Like,
yeah,
as it should be, but
yeah,
I mean, like, but every other Batman movie, we think about a lot of like the villains being the star of the show, or like one thing or another. Like, I always just like associate every Batman movie with his villains, and I think a lot of the general public does. Like, oh, that's the one with the Penguin in it. Oh, that's the one with Mr. Freeze in it. But this is like, that's the one with Batman in it.
Yeah,
yeah.
I watched it a second time since Trevor and I gave our initial thoughts. And I'm so glad I did, because I liked it the first time, but I had some problems with it. And some of those problems I still have, but like they're minor. They're like things I would prefer, or things I think would improve it, but not like severe deficiencies. But the themes really, really mesh together so much better the second time, when you're not worried about following the narrative story of, okay, Riddler this, A to Z this, what's going on with this guy? Like, you're not following like, wait, who's that guy again? Like, putting together who is and what is and where is. You can just look at it as a fully formed thing and pick up like the subtle foreshadowing. And I think my favorite thing about it is that I don't need all my superhero movies to be grounded, because I like Marvel movies. They are not grounded whatsoever in any reality. But like, Batman is the closest thing we really could get to a superhero that could exist, because like there have been vigilantes in historical existence before, and he's just super rich, as one version of Batman has said. And I've always appreciated, he's my favorite DC superhero ever, because he's just a regular dude with regular mortality, albeit really cool gadgets and stuff, who can just die if someone walked up to him as Bruce Wayne and was like, stab, 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 you know? So I like that he's heroic in the sense of like true altruism. But in this movie, the movie shows us that even in a fictional sense, that what he does, the way he does it, and the I am vengeance and like punishment will change people, etc., through, you know, violence and fear and stuff, isn't the right answer. And I think that that's like not only just a good message overall, but if it's going to be as grounded as possible with the most realistic possible guy ever, the most realistic possible judgment is that like what he's doing in this movie, or in any of the movies, as cool as it is and as fun as it is to watch, is not actually the right answer. And I saw so much more of that in that movie going forward the second time, and I really liked it. I know you had something you wanted to spin off of a little bit, Trevor, that was actually something that didn't work for you with the movie. I'm not sure if that spins off at all from here.
Okay. So yeah, so again, to be clear, I very, very much like this movie. Giacchino's score is phenomenal. He is my favorite composer. I've said it before. I will say it again. He's my favorite composer. Like, even just like not just film composer, just all-time composer. He's the GOAT, to me personally. But yeah, I think that works. Craig Fraser's cinematography. I mean, like, again, I said it in our non-spoiler review, but my God, it's phenomenal. The way he plays with light is really, really great. The choice to set everything in the nighttime, to set everything in the dark, not only works visually, but the visuals play into the thematic elements, which I think work very, very well. It was a choice that could have came across as like shallow, and I think it was executed really, really well from Craig Fraser as the DP, and then also the production designers, who really made the choice to build out this world. I think the editing is very, very good, especially in the car chase sequence. It isn't entirely clear what's going on, but that's for a purpose, to just put us within that world. Like I think from a technical level, this movie is phenomenally crafted. I thought Pattinson is great. I think even more than Mara, liked Zoe Kravitz a lot. I thought that, like, I quite honestly, I think that she's my favorite Catwoman. I probably a hot take, but I really really liked Zoe Kravitz. I thought that Paul Dano was really good. I liked a lot of this. My biggest problem is that I think that the themes and what it's going for, as far as looking at, you know, how Batman inherently as a character works, as far as him being a rich guy who will, you know, go and beat up like petty criminals. And, you know, since he was like the sheltered, protected rich kid, he doesn't see like corporate crime as that. He doesn't see that like structural crime as a crime. And I think it almost completely, like, I think it almost examines that and almost comes away right. And then I think it walks back on what a lot of it's saying and comes across like very confused by the end. And we can, I know this is opening thoughts. We can dive more into that later. Like, I really, really liked a lot of this movie. I just, and like Mari, you said, I mean, I still haven't seen this a second time. I might see it a second time. I mean, spring break's next week, so I'll probably see it a second time.
You be busy partying because you're a teenager, and isn't that what you do?
Not really. I've never been that big into party. I mean, I don't know. I'll probably just see Batman again.
Trevor, I'm just joking. I know you. I know you're not gonna go party down in Florida. You're way too smart for that.
Seeing the Batman is a party.
I would argue so. So yeah, like I want to see how a lot of those themes pull together for me by the end a second time. But it left me with kind of a bad taste in my mouth the first time coming out of the theater. Though I will say, Brandon, spinning off of, and we're into spoilers now, right? We can say, I mean, this is a spoiler show.
Yes, although I'm going to put the banner up just in case because I'm bad at my job.
I mean, to be fair, we haven't said anything that spoilery so far. But Brandon, you were talking about humor, and dark humor, and like I've seen people complaining like this movie isn't funny enough, or I wasn't entertained because there were no jokes. But like I don't know. I just feel like that's people that are accustomed to, like, you know, not everything's going to be like Red Notice, where it's just like haha action joke, haha action joke. Like, I mean, like, and I think there was some dark humor. Okay, so spoilers. Thumb Drive, actually very very funny, and I laughed out loud.
I saw that coming ahead of time, and I was so happy to watch Dan have it dawn on him. I was like, I know why his thumb's gone. Only because I think that's in a book that I read, like a detective novel or like a James Patterson or one of those people. Like something similar to that joke had been made, and I was like, I'm here for that joke. That's tight.
Yeah, it's like there's some great moments of dark humor within this. Even like the length. Like I didn't mind the length. I thought that it actually went by fairly quick. Like, does Penguin need to be in there? No, he doesn't. But did I get to see Colin Farrell be in makeup and look really cool? Yeah. So I'm not really complaining that much. I mean, like I think a lot of it worked. Just had some issues. But Mara, I will let you guide the discussion. I guided the last show because I just talked about awards for an hour and a half. So you can guide the show.
Well, spinning forward again off of that. Also, by the way, Trevor, I've got something for you in the private chat after this.
Ooh, okay.
I think that it's kind of like a personal preference thing. Like if you get served French fries, for example, I wasn't allowed to use salt at the table as a kid, and I like really salty French fries now as a result, because if they get given to me very salty, I'm very happy. I'm not going to go put salt on them, but it's like these French fries to me could have used a little more salt, in the sense that I would have preferred it to be a little bit tighter as a runtime, but I'm not saying it's bad. I'm still going to eat the French fries. You know what I mean? Even if they're not as salty to my liking.
Yes.
I do think that the Penguin was a little, I felt like it wasn't used well enough, only because I loved watching Colin Farrell be unrecognizable, both in like sight and sound. Like even the the way his voice sounded. Like, it's not like, oh, it's just a different accent. It was a different voice. It was a really great performance. But he was only there, as I told Trevor before, to be Rosetta Stone for bad Spanish interpretation because Batman doesn't know how to use Google Translate. But even so, like, that's such a minor thing. Like, very few movies are perfect. This movie was awesome, and I really liked it. That was just one thing where I was like, I felt like it could have been done better, but I liked it. Are you a penguin yay, penguin nay, Brandon?
That was funny. He's like, El Rata Arata, that's the worst Spanish I ever heard. Just like criticizing them. It's La Rata. But no, I overall I really liked it. I liked the different dynamic that we got with him and Batman in this movie. I liked how early on when Batman breaks into the club and he like has that meeting with the Penguin, just like seeing him and like the Penguin in a room together talking about something, and like there's like that like power dynamic between the two of them, and like Batman's like, all right, well, like he's like one of my supervillains, but he hasn't done anything wrong right now, so I'm trying to talk to him to figure out more about something else that I'm like another lead that I'm trying to track down. So I thought that was like a really cool dynamic for us to see. Like we've seen like interrogation like scenes like in this movie with the Riddler or with like the Dark Knight and the Joker, but this like felt like it was like in like a coming at us from like a different angle, which I really appreciated. But yeah, no, he was totally unrecognizable, and I'm interested to see more. I don't know how I feel about a Penguin TV show, but I'm interested to see more him interacting with like Batman and see how that goes. But we'll see.
Like I feel like a lot of his scenes in this almost just felt like a backdoor pilot for that Penguin show. Like how like in the Incredible Hulk, the like 70s, 80s, like the Incredible Hulk show, they would like have him go to court, and then they had like Daredevil show up, and they're like, maybe we'll do a Daredevil show, and then everybody was like, no, and they're like, never mind. But then now we just randomly have Daredevil and like the trial of the Incredible Hulk. Like I'm excited just because I like Colin Farrell for that show, but like it felt a bit like it's 3 hours long. If you're going to cut anything, I feel like you cut the Penguin stuff, as cool as a lot of it was. And briefly, two Colin Farrell recommendations. One, his interview with Kelly Clarkson, because it's wild. And they're, I think, speaking a different language, but I'm very confused. It's very fun. And then two, After Yang, which also came out the same weekend as the Batman. It's also very good. And I think we have a super chat or Streamlab. Garth donated and said, I really like the Batman and the score is amazing. I do have criticisms of some things. Most of all for me personally is spoilers. Again, major spoilers here, everybody. The ending with the tease of Joker in the next cell already being captured. I would have preferred to wait for him. Yeah. And also, how do we feel about Barry Keoghan as Joker?
I'm optimistic. I think that
I'm saying
he's a great performer.
Yeah.
He was so like dark, so you couldn't really like see him in the movie. But I'm kind of like waiting, like, are we ever gonna see like a behind the scenes photo of him like in the makeup, or are they really gonna like keep that under lock and key so we don't see it at all until like the next movie comes out? Because I really want to know what he looks like before I make any judgments.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we got like what 30 seconds of him. It's like, I mean, I like Barry Keoghan. I like him a lot as an actor. Mara, you don't seem like you do.
No. It's that's not how you say his name.
Okay, I apologize.
No, that's okay. He's Irish, I believe, which means it doesn't look at all like what it is.
Is it okay? Let me look at it. Is it Keoghan? You can call him Barry for now.
Keoghan, I believe is
Keoghan?
Yeah, it's. I mean, look at Saoirse Ronan. Like nothing makes sense. Like Siobhan doesn't make sense to what we consider as the way letters move, but a perfectly amazing, beautiful name for the Irish. So yeah, it's okay. Just call him Barry. You're friends, right?
Barry. Yeah, no, just like I'm friends with Timothée Chalamet. Yeah, no, Barry. Which, speaking of, there was lots of fan art of Timothy Chalamet as Joker, and I'm kind of mad that we didn't get that, even though it wouldn't have made that much sense. Just because, you know, Timmy is the best. But but no, I really like Barry. I mean, Killing of a Sacred Deer is, I mean, one of my, he's phenomenal in that. I love his small part in The Green Knight. Just this year, like, or Jesus, that isn't this year. Last year. I'm still doing that. But
I still will be in June. It's okay.
But yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting casting choice. I don't hate it, but I want to see more.
Yeah, so. I mean, I think that I'm optimistic going forward, partially just because of the trajectory of the Batman character, especially seeing as though we've already mentioned that this movie was defined by him more than his villains. I like the idea, like the optimism and the hopefulness, which is something we scarcely get, especially at the end of a Batman movie, like unless it's drinking cappuccino in a cafe somewhere. Like I like the idea of that he's going to change in some way. And it's not changing for the, like, I'm going to become like the recluse. I'm going to hide myself away. Like that's usually the change that we've seen. And I'm curious to see his genesis into the Bruce Wayne that's more of what we know, that is more in society, that is hiding in plain sight as, you know, a social person. He doesn't necessarily have to turn into a playboy. They may or may not go that direction. Who knows? They may be taking a more progressive approach to his relationships. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. He can be a playboy for all he wants. He's Bruce Wayne. I'd go on a date with him. Of course I would. Anyone would. But just to see a different kind of character than the one we saw in this one. And I need more Alfred. Like they've been giving me Zaddy Alfred for a while now, because if you think Jeremy Irons is not a Zaddy Alfred, you're wrong. Andy Serkis is definitely a Zaddy Alfred, and I need all of that and more of that. I think my favorite scene in the movie is not the first part of the hospital scene where it's like, no, it's not this guy who got your daddy killed. It's this other guy that told you that this guy got your daddy killed. Like right away, they just like invert that so quickly. I wish that they would have separated those two scenes a little more, but it's the second half. It's the, you know, you needed a father. I couldn't be that guy. I didn't know what to do with you. And like the reconciliation that didn't feel rushed or fully complete, but like a step in the right direction, him realizing how much he cares about Alfred, that Alfred isn't his father, but you know, that they know who they are to one another now, and in the way that mattered. My favorite conversation between Batman and Alfred on screen ever. And my favorite part of the movie, which coincidentally, Mike Kalinowski's favorite part of the movie. And I'm like, Mike, we have to stop having so much in common. If we're not best friends, it's not okay for us to have this much in common. So I know you're watching, call me.
I have to address something in the chat briefly. Nick says, you live in Florida. You lied to me about how bad Florida was. No, I do not live in Florida. Florida is bad. So
dang. Oh, shots fired. Those are not the thoughts and opinions of the basement. That is just all that guy.
I mean, I'm not condemning everybody who lives in the state. You know what I'm talking about, Florida. So you know me, Florida. You know what I'm saying. But yeah, no, don't give that much credit. I'm Illinois. Yeah, no, I agree. I really, really liked Andy Serkis in this. I mean, like, yeah, like he was very good. I love his involvement. Just like he's just kind of all over the place as far as like comic book. Like he was in Black Panther and then directed Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and then now he's in the Batman. Like he's kind of all over the place, and like, you know, 2 of those 3 movies were good. So, like,
I just wish that I got a SoundCloud link for the music album that he was talking about in Black Panther, because they really needed to drop that online. Honestly, it's like an Easter egg for us.
I forgot about that joke.
But yeah, no, I really like this Alfred. I agree. I want to see more of this Alfred. I think that the conversation works really, really well. I realize I'm just saying I agree with you over and over again, but I also agree that like
I don't have a problem with that.
The immediate like after, you know, talking about like what, like I guess demystifying and like taking Thomas Wayne off of his pedestal, and bringing that realization to Bruce, and then immediately being like, but wait, he actually still kind of did do good things. Don't like that felt very, very quick to immediately go back on that big realization, which I think would have worked. I don't know. I almost would have preferred if we didn't even go back on that at all, and had that just contribute to Bruce's character, that, you know, his father wasn't all that he had idealized about him, and that, you know, maybe he didn't do the best things all of the time. So
he was human.
Yeah, and I feel like I tried to dehumanize him, and then it was like, but maybe no. Which I don't know. It didn't entirely. Like, and maybe it could have worked if they let it sit for more time and at least let Bruce feel more of the repercussions, just mentally, of that realization. But they didn't even let that happen. It was just a very fast whiplash back. So yeah, that's, I guess, just a bit more into part of my problems. But I agree that scene was great.
What were your guys' opinions of John Turturro in the movie? I'm just curious. I've seen some people discussing, some people liked it. Some people were like, it's hard for me not to see the guy talking about being below the enemy scrotum in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Like, hard for me to make that pivot mentally. So where did you land on that, Brandon?
I am directly below the enemy scrotum. Yeah. No, I liked him in the movie. I like watching, like, there's like a few actors that do this, like Steve Buscemi and like obviously John Turturro, like actors who like you see a lot in like goofy comedic roles, but then you see them do something serious and you're like, wow, like you're so good. Like Adam Sandler, even, you're like, what? Like, so for me, like this was one of those, like, even though it's a comic book movie, like it was like played very like seriously, and I thought like he did a really good job of like being like a mob boss, where I'm just like I simultaneously feel comfortable around you and threatened by you at the same time, like enough to like lower my guard and for you to kill me. Like it's just like he has that way of like speaking his like character, like where he's just like I could be your biggest friend or your greatest enemy, like depending on how you decide to act. And he was like scary in like that like calm, like cool kind of way. So I thought he did a really good job. But it's hard for me, like with like obviously like seeing Batman Begins so many times, not thinking of like Tom Wilkinson in that role. It's like people fear what they don't understand, you know. Like, so, but overall, I liked it.
Yeah, I thankfully am not scarred by any entry in the Transformers franchise. So I see Bumblebee. That's Lucky it. I'm happy staying with that.
If you ever want a headache, just watch them all in a row.
Probably why I'll never actively try to do inner geekdom. But yeah, I really liked him. I really, really liked the performance. I really agree. Brandon, I loved his, like, it just felt like a very easygoing demeanor. Like, if somebody forgot to put mustard on a sandwich that day, he might be cutting off somebody's head. But like, he's also just seemed like, I don't know. I think that they, how his character connected to Catwoman, I think it gave his character depth that I think wasn't there up to that point, at least for me. So I just, a lot of the choices with how they presented this iteration of Carmine Falcone. Is it Falcone or Falcone? Do you say the E?
Well, it depends on which medium you go to.
Yeah,
that's fair.
In this movie, they call him Falcone, but in Batman Begins, they call him Falcone.
Yeah. So once again, we're going to
ignore canonically, I believe it is supposed to be Falcone, but
yeah.
Okay. But you know, when your name is Tom, you get to make up your own rules.
Exactly. Tom can do whatever he wants.
Tom.
Beg,
but yeah,
like a dog.
Like, can you just talk like that for the rest of the show? Because like I'd be down. Yeah, no. TLDR, I like John Turturro in this.
Excellent. I'm glad we figured that out.
Look, could you imagine Tom Wilkinson being Anne Hathaway's dad? That would be interesting. That would have been an interesting plot.
I'd buy that.
I can imagine it. I don't know how I feel about it, but I can definitely imagine it.
Yeah,
I thought that was definitely an interesting choice for me, but it didn't like hurt the movie at all.
Yeah, like I said, I don't. I'll be curious to see if we, in future iterations, if we see the effects of that on Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman, because I don't think we really. I feel like that was kind of briefly touched on, and then we moved on from it. As far as her relationship with her father, I don't think that was delved into too much. But if we get to see payoff later down the line, and see more of how her relationship with her father affected a lot of her life choices, etc. I think it could work, but we need more. But I'm intrigued by it.
Yeah, I mean, she was so preoccupied with, killing the cop that killed her friend. And I was surprised that they didn't at least talk or like get into a little more about her feelings about like she wanted to kill her dad and then her dad's dead. And did that work for you? Like, did you feel the things you wanted to feel about it? Or did you realize that didn't fix any of the hurt or the pain that you had? Like, how do you, there's really only two choices. You either are happy you did it or like happy it happened, not happy it happened. And you realize that you can move forward either way. I don't know. I just wish I would know where she...
That was set up pretty largely about how, like, and it was like, the will killing the person fix your grief? Like, that was set up fairly strongly. Like, I think there was at least one conversation between her and Bruce about that. So, like, I wish we could have seen the repercussions on that, but this movie is already very jam-packed. I don't know where that scene would have fit in just pacing-wise, and if it would have slowed down the movie too much to have a bit of a downbeat, because after that, we just immediately jump into Paul Dano. Mm-hmm. So I don't know where that scene fits into this film, at least.
Does anyone else wish that they had done a promotional tie-in where Paul Dano worked as a barista and gave you your latte with a question mark in it just to help promote the movie? Because I would be very
now.
There was like a little pop-up coffee shop and they literally had Paul Dano serving out lattes. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And then like here's the best part. So you give your order and he tells you a riddle and you've got to know the answer to that riddle to pick up your order, or else you're just paying for nothing.
It's like him actually like having dirt on the people that are ordering the coffee. And so he's like making them confess things. They're like there's like Robert Pattinson's there as Batman. He's like, justice. The answer is justice. You have to come clean about all the bad things you've done in front of your wife to get this latte.
Okay. But we all know that the best, the out in the public promotional technique is dressing up your actor in a mouse costume and having them hump somebody's car while singing. Like that's obviously what we should have had Paul Dano do.
Yes.
In reference to of course, the Cinderella James Corden thing that happened.
I thought you were going to say that we all should have just not supported the movie whatsoever in order to get Robert Pattinson to do art house porn.
That was a thing. That was a thing on yeah. It's not where I was going. But you said it, not me.
I didn't say it. I just said that were you thinking you would rather have just not supported the movie so that way we could have just seen this turn? Because he said art house. So that means it's going to be fancy.
All right.
Moving forward.
Moving on.
This is Trevor's opinion right now. He wants me to get out of his house.
You've entered my physical basement through the screen, and I don't know how comfortable I feel about it.
Which is so funny that I do this show from my upstairs half the time instead of in the basement.
I'm the only one that's like actually in my basement.
Wow, like I don't even have a basement.
I don't either, but I'm working on excavating, so it'll be there.
Just don't knock down any load-bearing walls.
I've watched HGTV. I can figure out what those are.
I honestly, I wonder that should be, we're going to tangent and talk about HGTV for a hot second.
Don't forget, we only have 15 more minutes of Brandon Hanna, though, so
that's very true. I'm going to make it fast. I think that should be a thing where you have you bring these people in, you show them like a lot of HGTV, and then it's a reality show where people have to try to like remodel a house off of just what they've seen on HGTV. Moving on, call me.
I would do that. I don't know if I'd succeed at everything, but I'd succeed at a lot.
To go on an even further tangent, to speaking of ideas of reality TV shows, my perfect pitch for a reality TV show is you take people who think the moon landing was faked and you send them to the moon.
Brandon's done it. I think we can just end the show. I'm like, that's
yeah, we'll never come up with anything better. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Oops.
I mean, I still think that the greatest reality TV show idea that's never happened is whatever Ethan Hawke was talking about at the beginning of Before Sunrise. He was very ahead of his time. But Cat.
Hey, bud, do you want to say hi? Just say hi to everybody.
You just want to purr in my face?
Well, we have 15 more minutes of you. What was your favorite moment in the film? If you have to singularize, because that's a word now, a specific moment. What you going with?
I really love, like Mara talked a lot about like the themes and like the hopefulness in the movie. So I really loved that and was attached to that as well. So I really love the scene when he like lights the flare and he like reaches his hand out to the mayor. And then the former mayor's like kid like reaches out to him and he like starts like helping people get out of harm's way, and just that whole moment and everything around it, because we see like early on in the movie like the mayor does not like Batman. She's like talking to the cops and she's like, you let a vigilante run around town, doing this and that, and clearly anti-Batman. But then at the end she's in a situation where she needs Batman's help, and Batman is there realizing at the same time that it's not just about beating the crap out of bad guys, it's also about helping people. And so like he reaches his hand out to her and there's that really like great moment, like that pause of like hesitation. So that like moment in particular was my personal favorite.
I agree. Actually, that's definitely like a very like microscopic number 2 for me as well, because I think that is part of what shapes what he's saying at the end, because he's never been seen as a symbol of anything other than like pain, fear, violence, darkness. People wouldn't reach their hands out to be helped by Batman. Like the man at the train station in the beginning where he's like, please don't hurt me. And it's like, dude, like you're the one getting saved here. The fact that your reaction is, please, sir, don't hurt me, like shows what Batman stands for to Gotham City at that time. And so I love that, like, you can even feel the pivot point in him where he understands what he's putting out in the world and how people see him, even though that wasn't necessarily perhaps what his full intent was with everything. That like he was shaping the hearts and minds of people that were good law-abiding citizens, not just the people that were criminals, and that it wasn't for the better.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, I made a meme that I want to pull up here.
Please do.
Because it's all about like how like he gave that like impression to like, people like he like it helped. Oh, I'm on full screen. Wow. He inspired like he has that interrogation scene with the Riddler, and the Riddler talks about like how like Batman like inspired him to do what he was doing. And that's kind of when the gears start spinning in Batman's head about like, oh my God, like I'm sending the wrong message out there. And like the Riddler was like, oh yeah, we sure did it, huh? Like you and me, Batman, like we're doing the thing. So it made me think of that scene. I believe it's in Spider-Man too. So I made this meme based around that.
I love that.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we sure showed them. What do you mean we? So that's, I thought, like very on point, especially with Spider-Man being behind Trevor over there.
Oh yeah. Oh no, how could you?
It's really Paul Dano underneath that mask, isn't it?
Oh, by the way, total tangent again about Spider-Man, but different Spider-Man. Have you guys seen the behind the scenes of the bridge sequence in No Way Home with Tom Holland just doing all of the stuff because he's Tom Holland? And I truly think, I said this to Dan when we were in the car wash today, I think he could be this next generation's Tom Cruise, because he's incredibly active and like capable of doing physical stunts, and obviously his athleticism being different than Tom Cruise just being like determined to kill himself for cinema. But he's tiny, and women love him currently. I think men love him too. I think generally speaking, he's considered an appealing human being. I think that because he's English, he might be able to stay out of the Scientology pool. But hey, Scientology gets your roles. So more power to you, Tom, whatever you decide to do. But I think that like 30 years from now, we could be like, oh yeah, he's the new Tom Cruise.
I said this after like Uncharted 2, like, even though I did not like that movie, he is the biggest movie star of my generation. I almost said this generation, but it's mine. Like he is talking like third person generationally. But no, like I oh, I was just gonna let Brandon question lots of things. But no, I feel like Tom Holland, I mean, like he even like he literally has the complete package as far as a movie star goes. I mean, even just like we're talking about him like every single day. Not only does he have like, you know, 2 of the biggest box office hits in like the last 6 months, I mean 4 months even, with Spider-Man and Uncharted, like he's going to be making a lot of a lot of stuff coming down the line. I mean, he's gonna be doing lots of stuff. Also, the tabloids are obsessed with him because Zendaya, and like literally everybody is talking about it. Like he's there. Have you seen how many tweets there are about Tom Holland every single day? It's a lot. I don't know the number, but I'm assuming it's a lot.
For the people that say that, you know, Tom Holland can only be Peter Parker, number one, I will point out that for the most part, Tom Cruise has been playing the same character for the last like 15 solid years, and there's no problem with that. But also, much like Tom Cruise in Born on the 4th of July, Tom Holland is a great actor. Watch The Lost City of Zed as just one minor example. So like he seriously is going to be Tom Cruise. I'm pretty determined. I'm going to make it happen. I have powers.
Even like, I mean, I guess it's another example where I don't think that the movie entirely landed, but like his performance in Cherry by the Russo brothers is pretty good. I don't think that it was entirely directed in the right way, but it did show his chops. Like he can definitely dive into more serious roles, especially if he's under better direction for those more serious roles. So like, I think that he's going to be able to do a lot. Like we're going to see. We won't stop hearing about Tom Holland in like the next 10 years. And like, I don't think anybody's really complaining about that. Like there isn't, you know, there isn't that many things that people have negatively to say about Tom Holland. He's also a fan of Tottenham Hotspur, which is the best football/soccer, if you live in America, like I do, team. So there's that going for him as well. We got a Streamlab from Hudsonizer, I believe it's Hitman Hudson, in the chat. He says, I love a lot of this movie. I did not like the very ending with the flooding. The hour or so before the dams break is amazing. I like the ending for Batman's character, but the final sequence showing how we get there was very underwhelming to me. That's fair. I liked it because I didn't think that they were going to go there, as far as kind of just completely destroying Gotham. I didn't think that we were actually going to go there, so that worked for me. But that's definitely fair. I can see why that would be underwhelming.
Like I can see how maybe you can come across as a little underwhelming, because like normally in a lot of these types of movies, it's like you see the heroes back against the wall and they find some grand like way to like save the day and like defeat the bad guy, and hopefully if it's done well, it's in like a really fulfilling way. But in this movie, it's just kind of like Batman just kind of loses. Like the Riddler kind of succeeds in everything that he wants to do. And so Batman, like, he's just like, well, I lost. I guess, I've learned a lot about being a better hero. I'm going to go help people. And there's that hopeful optimism from that. But yeah, the city's flooded. People are dead. This sucks. And the movie's kind of over, but Batman.
Yeah.
I really liked the sad realism of like internet extremism. I mean, it's the parallels to the January 6th insurrection are obviously pretty undeniable, but like that's, even if we hadn't had that exact thing happen, like the internet is a wonderful, beautiful place that helps you understand parts of the world and people in the world that you never could before without having to go there and meet them and experience their cultures, etc. Endless knowledge online. Like, do you have any idea that I used to have to go to a card catalog and look for books when I wanted to do reports in school? Internet,
I'm very
not
confused.
helpful yet. Well, that's fine. At least I'm literate, so boom. Not that you aren't, but I know a lot of people that like don't even understand the Dewey Decimal System. They're like, it doesn't make sense. It's like, it really does. Every book in my house is organized via the Dewey Decimal System. Pivoting back.
That's the nerdiest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Thank you. You can ask Dan. He like,
okay, never mind.
Dan is like super weird because if he tries to put a book in, I'm like, no. It's not where it goes. Circling back though, the idea though that like sadly everyone has, I always call it like, oh, Uncle Frank. Like a lot of people had a kind of crazy Uncle Frank. Everyone knows somebody that's their Uncle Frank. The sad thing about the internet is everyone's Uncle Frank can find everyone's Uncle Frank, and then they can, echo chamber themselves into doing things that are aggressive or bothersome or perhaps violent. And so I kind of, in a way, it's art imitating life, but sometimes life sucks. And I mean, there's also kind of I liked seeing it because it's kind of important to remind ourselves, because sad but true, some people do remember their history because their history gets thrown into their movies more so than they remember their history because it really happened. So like some people think about World War II and they think about Saving Private Ryan. They don't think about like the fact that it happened as a real tangible thing and not just like a fictionalized version of a thing. So I'm kind of glad that it's encapsulated in this incredibly like popular movie that's going to be talked about endlessly pretty much till the end of time. So that worked for me. I get that a lot of people maybe would rather it stay out of their media, but for me it worked.
Yeah, I liked it, and I liked there was like another part, like even as serious as it was, there was like even a moment of levity from it when we finally get Batman watching that video that the Riddler does just his followers, and he's just doing his like regular like streamer voice that we all know. He's just like, hey guys, just wanted to let you know this community has really meant a lot to me over the last few months, and it's just like we're used to seeing him like, I am the Riddler, and he's just like, hi. So
is Brandon like sneakily good at all sorts of impressions? Is this what I'm finding out?
Oh, I don't know. Am I doing okay? I don't know.
Yeah, you're definitely doing okay. I think we're going to have you write down all the ones you're capable of doing and have you and Dan do like an impression battle.
Oh no, Dan. Like every time I think I'm good at an impression, Dan does it better. And I'm like, dang it. So it's bad for my self-esteem.
Okay, well then in that case, you can do it against me because you'll win. Because I've got like 4 and that's it.
I've always done a pretty good Batman, I was going to try to do Alfred earlier, but then I chickened out.
You got to like really pump the iron first though. Like no shade on you, but like that Alfred is super stacked. So, work on your deadlifts.
You needed a father. I couldn't be your father. I don't know what he says exactly. It was enough. Falcone, not Maroney. I think. He's like, I'm not really too sure. That's bad.
I did kind of like that though, in the sense that I hope that they don't really revisit that, because I don't need definitive, like, this is exactly the human being that killed Thomas Wayne. I don't need that personally. I swear to God though, I was so worried. I was like, if they show me Popcorn and Pearls, I'm going to walk out. Like I've seen it enough times. I don't need every director's interpretation of Popcorn and Pearls, especially after the 44 movie rewatch that Dan and I did. Lots of Popcorn and Pearls. But I hope that they don't ever just like iron out who did that. Like, because both of them said, they were like, I can't be sure, but it could be this guy. And then I can't be sure, but it's probably way more likely this guy. I'm kind of glad we don't know. Because, I mean, sadly, there are unsolved crimes every day.
What if it was kettle corn and pearls? Would that be acceptable?
Kettle corn and garnets.
Okay.
Yep. I know what I'm bringing over to your place in a couple weeks. Kettle corn and, well, I guess I could bring you over some Red Hots. There you go. Kettle corn and Red Hots is what I'm bringing.
Definitely, I'm a big fan of kettle corn. Throwing that out there.
All right, I'm gonna have to go buy a kettle now so I can learn how to make kettle corn.
You literally just buy it in a bag at the grocery store. I'll be happy. She's like, I'm gonna make it from scratch. I'm gonna make the best kettle corn.
Trevor, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna say that out loud, and you're not allowed to because you're too young.
I'm quoting something. But on the joke that nobody in the chat will get to hear, I think it's time that we say goodbye, I believe, to our guest.
Is there anything that you would like to plug right now, Mr. Brandon?
Anything I would like to plug? Well,
yeah.
You
any lamps that need power?
Lamps?
Plug.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. I'm on my C game today, everybody. I have a headache.
Speaking of plugs, I just got a adapter to plug like American stuff into a European wall outlet. So that's coming in the mail. So that's my biggest plug news. But you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Brandon Hanna 07. I haven't posted anything on it in a while, but if you want to see all the stuff I've done in the past, you go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Brandon Hanna. I've done some science related stuff there. I've had Amara on my channel more than a few times.
And we're going to be working on something at some point in the future.
Yes, definitely.
Physics.
Science.
Thermodynamics.
Yes.
I like science.
Fluid mechanics. Trevor too. Trevor's invited.
Trevor could be our version of the Riddler.
Wait, I don't know how I feel about that. Clarify.
I will not.
No.
Okay.
No. And also I'm starting to get into doing TikToks more often. So TikTok, Brandon Hanna 07 over there as well. If you like science and film related things, I've got some ideas brewing. I've got a few TikToks up over there if you want to check those out. And I think that's it. That's all I could think about.
Awesome. Well, thank you so very much. It was so good to have you back. Enjoy your super fancy party.
Yeah, we're holding a big Mara's Not in Town party. Everyone's invited. It's going to be crazy. Even Trevor's coming. I'm flying him in after the show. It's going to be a lot of fun.
You know what's great is that when I come and visit, you're going to be gone, and I'm going to bring kettle corn for Sabrina and not for you.
No. Okay, that's fair. But no, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It was a lot of fun talking the Batman. I really liked it. I really liked the themes of hopefulness, and I hope to see where that goes in the sequel that we will definitely be getting, hopefully in no more than 3 years, because I don't know how much longer I go in.
And also, don't forget to check out Brandon Hanna performing in the Movie Trivia Schmodown this season as well. So please don't forget that, everybody.
I haven't heard of that. What is it? I think
it's a thing where people fight to the death with movie costumes on.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Is that legal?
I don't care.
I will make it legal. It's from the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, it is. It's the perfect exit. So thank you again so much, Brandon. Everyone in the chat, say thanks again to Brandon.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Have fun.
Oh my God, we're so lucky.
Yes.
I love anybody that can drop a straight up Phantom Menace quote. Like, I have a perverse love for that movie. I don't know. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying I love it.
It's not the worst. I mean, I can think of 2 live action Star Wars movies that it's better than.
I mean, I'm personally, for me, it's like just a time investment. I'm like, I'm willing to wait for Duel of the Fates. It takes me a while to get there, but I don't care. The payoff is worth it for me. Yeah.
Ferris, what did you just walk into? Well, Brandon said it's legal, so I guess it is.
Exactly.
We live by the law of Brandon.
Actually, ooh, okay. That's a new like basement show thing. We're gonna call it the law of Brandon, which is Brandon Hanna's gonna make it legal.
Legal. I don't know where that would be applicable, but I'm here for it.
I'm just joking.
I think you needed Brendan's approval to do that. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about
the only person's approval I needed for that was Fabio.
I feel violated.
What about the lawnmower man? Do you remember him?
He's my friend.
Are you sure he's not your family?
Yeah, I'm quite sure.
All right, I'm having way too much fun with the banners and the brands. All right. Well, I was going to suggest if we would like to, do we want to talk a little bit about the kitties that are upcoming very soon?
We can most definitely. No, why are we saying yes to Fabio? Would you like to remind
everyone in general what the kitties are? What about Fabio?
The kitties are no, we don't like no. I mean, do I have to Jared Leto this and just walk out? I don't like that's yeah. Get out of my house, Fabio. So okay, so the kitties, also known as the Basement Awards. They are our awards for movies and like some TV shows and specials. Mara and I set the nominations. They're being voted on by myself, Mara, Dan, Merle. I think that's implied. No, we actually got Miami Dolphins quarterback Dan Marino. We called our good friend Dan. And then also William Bibiani and Sabrina Ramirez, who might know that Brandon guy. And nominations are all set. I probably sometime within the next week will put out a big Twitter thing of all of the nominations. So that way they're all in one place and we are voting on them and they are going to be our awards and we are smarter than the Academy because we will actually say all of the winners while we are live.
Yeah, we will. It's going to be a long show, everybody.
And we won't be making dumb jokes that aren't going to be very funny and waste time. Nor will we have best popular movie or cheer moment.
There also will not be any live music. Sorry. None of our nominated songs will be performed by anybody here. I think that's a bad idea.
What? No. Okay. No, I was going to say, well, no, we actually aren't going to do that. So,
but one thing we are going to do is I am going to be painstakingly constructing physical kitty awards for every category because I'm a monster and also I like crafting.
Mara is going to be doing a lot. So yeah, and they're all going to be custom, right? To like
they are winner. Each and every one will have its own little award. Yes. A lot of us are going to be accepting on the behalf of the recipients during this show because sadly I have not gotten any RSVPs.
We should see if we can get we should try to get at least one.
There's literally one and maybe one that we could ever possibly get, and we'll talk about that. But I don't think that with this time crunch we could do it.
Yeah.
But anyways, one thing we are doing though is so myself, Dan, Trevor, Sabrina, and Bibiani will before the show know which ones, but we're gonna each call dibs on one that we would like to keep for ourselves since we did all do Trevor did the hardest of the hard work by making the spreadsheet and getting everything in line for me to make the ballot and us together tabulating and talking about how it all worked. We're going to each keep one, but all of the remaining ones, of which there will be many, we're going to we're calling it an auction, but it's really not an auction. It's more of an entry system. So here's an example. Let's just say that I mentioned this award earlier because for some reason I feel like this one might actually get a lot of bids. The best vocal performance. So this is a performance by an actor in a voice role. So an animated movie or a CG character. Our nominees are listed in the existing Twitter thread for that category.
Yes.
Let's just say that you would like that one, that kitty. You're very into it. And you would put in a Streamlabs for any amount that you would like. If it's $1, great. And if you're the only one that nominates that one that specifically wants that kitty, and you would just put what award you want in your comment for your Streamlab. If you're the only one that puts in any money at all, you get that thing for $1. But if anyone else puts in any money, for every dollar you put in, you will get an entry into a randomizer, and it will be randomly selected. So you basically kind of get to gamble. And if there's $100 and you only put in $1, you could still win. So it's just strictly an entry-based system. So it's not really an auction. It's more of an entry. But if you would like one of these dumb little kitty awards, they can be yours for as little as $1. So that's basically how it's going to work. It's really just meant to be fun, and they'll be sent out to you. If you don't have to provide your address, you can provide any address that you're comfortable receiving mail from. It will be shipped from my PO box, so it's all very discreet. So if you're going to surprise your loved one with a kitty, it will be in very bland packaging because I'm basic. So that's basically the gist of it. We will be going over it again in detail at the top of the episode. There's a possibility that I will be in fancy attire because the cat's already in a tuxedo. I'd be pretty humiliated if, I didn't dress the part, at least from the waist up. So just so you know, though, Trevor will be putting out, again, as he mentioned, those nominees. Keep your eyes peeled. If there's someone where you're like, oh man, I bet that this person's going to win this award and I really want it, then, just keep that in mind. But a little piece of the kitties, all of them, many, many of them, could be yours.
Yes. Also, we're just going to talk about stuff live on air because why not? How are we feeling about doing audience awards for some of the categories?
I think that could be very fun. I might need your help with that.
Okay.
Especially if I'm managing all of the other entry-based options.
That part.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Okay. So that is also going to be a thing, as just discussed in a very private conversation that was just had behind closed doors by us in the room where it happened. And we
I get that reference.
And yes, there will be audience awards. No kitties for the audience awards because we do not want to murder Mara through work. But there will be audience prizes, just like at Sundance, the jury prize, the audience prize. And this last year, I think the audience prize was right at Sundance because Cha-Cha real smooth. Well, Mara, we talked about the Batman. We had some fun. Was that R2-D2?
It was R2-D2. I think it's called Angry or Grumpy is my text tone when Robert Parker texts me. Hold on a second. Nice. I gotta play you his ringtone because I love his ringtone so much. Where is his? Here we go. Hold on. Info. There we go. I frequently don't answer the phone because I just like listening to it.
Yeah, no, that's great. Oh, here, just a second. We're going to play a game that Simon just proposed to us. Audience Choice Awards are the best Simon. He says, which I'd lose. Well, I'd say that you are pretty high on the Simon list out of the Simons that I do know. But what is let's look within the film industry, Mara. Who's the best Simon?
I mean, Simon Pegg. I feel like I'm obligated to say.
Yeah. I think that's just the answer, and we can move on.
I mean, I will also just say that I love Simon. Love, okay. Simon.
Oh.
Okay.
I see okay, sorry. I that went over my head for a brief second. Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay. We got there though eventually.
We did, yes.
Did you have anything to wrap up? So I've made up a game within the last 5 minutes that revolves around Batman that we can play. But did we have any final thoughts briefly about the Batman before we?
Well, briefly is the key word there. But generally speaking, I think that I mean, I know that it seems like we didn't have as much to say about the Batman, considering we had 3+ hours to say about Spider-Man No Way Home, but I assume that when it does come out on home media, that I might dissect it just a little bit more, possibly. I don't want it to seem like, oh, I favored the Spider-Man movie and I didn't give as much time to the Batman movie, but I mean, generally speaking, there's less meat to the narrative story that they're telling, and they're telling a more thematic story. And I do think we talked about that pretty well. I will once again second everything Brandon said. That score is a banger. And it just goes to show you that simple can be brilliant. Because think about Terminator. It's just da 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 da. It's some of the most iconic music ever. And it's simple. It's just a certain note, a certain number of times, a certain cadence is brilliant. And I think that the score to the Batman is brilliant.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Like, yeah, I'll give brief thoughts. I also did I delved more into a lot of my problems with it on something on my channel plug, but on a Batman review there. But yes, yeah, I loved a lot of this film. I think that this should be getting lots of Oscar nominations, especially in the below the line categories like cinematography. Yeah. Also, do you want to know a fact that's very strange? So
yes.
3 Batman films previously have been nominated for Best Cinematography: The Dark Knight, Batman Begins, and Batman Forever. Got a Best Cinematography nomination at the Oscars. Plus production design.
I think that you're living in the darkest timeline. That's not true.
It 100% is. So like, I don't know. I think it's weird, but like they don't have a problem with nominating Batman movies in cinematography. I think it's possible. Yeah, no, that's like the production design. Like on a technical level, this film is phenomenal. I just think with the politics it was trying to tackle within this film, I don't know, just inherently with the character of Batman and Bruce Wayne, if the political ideas, like I 100% agree with the political ideas that it was trying to tackle, as far as like it looks at establishment versus anti-establishment, and how to approach issues within a corrupt government, and within like just in a crime riddled city, how to deal with that, and Bruce Wayne realizing that you can't just punch down all of the time, which is what he was kind of doing in Striking Fear. Just all of the walkbacks on almost everything, especially all the stuff it's set up within the corrupt political system, just didn't sit well with me, and came across feeling very, very, it came across to me like it didn't actually say anything, but like did a bunch of stuff that made it seem like it was saying a lot, which are brief.
One thing that might get me a little bit of hate is on second watch, especially, I don't like the new mayor. I think it's really kind of like, don't get me wrong. I laugh at funerals. Like, I understand that like some behavior is definitely like how someone like reacts to like grief or discomfort is not something you should judge. But I am going to kind of judge, hey, I'm going to bully this rich guy and say that because you have money, you're obligated to do something, especially because someone you were related to did something at a funeral. It just seems very tasteless to me. And I'm going to physically restrain you while we walk, so that way you have to talk to me. And then we're going to follow this up later. I don't know. I really don't like her. She gives me a very entitled taste in my mouth.
I think so, like that those scenes are why this doesn't work, because like, yeah, it is a problem. Like, why is, Bruce Wayne has lots of money, so if he wants to like help clean up the streets of crime in Gotham, why is he going and fighting it instead of, pouring his money into it? And this film tries to tackle that idea, but you really can't. Like, it's a Batman movie, like that kind of destroys how Batman inherently works. Like if you look at something like Watchmen, that shows what, that looks at, I would say, a Batman-esque character. Like in how that wouldn't really work. I mean, obviously that's also a fictional piece of media, but it examines it from a different way. And I think that just how the character of Batman inherently works and how the city of Gotham inherently works, like it's fantasy, and you can't really apply I would say more progressive political ideals to it just because they don't work, and it makes it feel like it makes the narrative feel like it's contradicting itself because it's held within the confines of still being a Batman film.
Yeah. Also, one thing I've seen, like, for example, if you don't like the flooding, totally fine. Not judging that at all. Some things are free, some things aren't. But people that criticize that as being unrealistic, I'd like to point out that the city of New Orleans built below sea level.
Yes.
So that really exists. Have you heard of 2005? Just throwing it out there.
Yep. But
so if you don't like it, totally fine, not criticizing. But if you think it's unrealistic, come on, really?
Yeah. But let's play a Batman game, Mara. So
let's do that. Ooh, hold on. Can you say that one more time for me?
Oh, yes. Let's do a Batman game.
Thank you.
All right, cool. So, so we did the Batman Letterboxd game before. Okay. Yes. Where we had to match the review. So, there are how many Batman movies? We have 66. We have the next 4. Then we have the Dark Knight trilogy, then Lego Batman, then the Batman, not counting stuff like BVS. So I think 10, right?
Did you count Mask of the Phantasm?
I did not. We have 11. So 11 Batman films. I have a poll that was voted on by Letterboxd, because my life is Letterboxd, for better or worse, of the top 100 directors of all time. I'm going to be taking the top 11 directors from that list, and you have to match like which film you would want each director to correspond to. So every Batman movie is getting remade, but with, according to Letterboxd, the 11 greatest directors of all time, and you have to try to match them.
Oh, okay. So I'm picking what I think that they picked.
Or that, yeah, or what you think would be best, I guess. What you think would be best.
Okay, so it's my choice.
It's your choice.
Okay, yes, got it. Great.
So, it's your choice on which director you think should take each Batman film if we're rewriting history and, people live forever.
Got it.
So, here are your options for directors. Stanley Kubrick.
Ooh, hold on, I'm going to take a note super quick. Right. That way I don't have to ask you over and over again. They are.
Give your opinions on who you think should direct these series. So the interesting thing is, like, we won't have repeat directors, like for instance Nolan with the Dark Knight trilogy. Each one's going to be taking different things. So maybe you pair directors thematically. We have Scorsese after Kubrick. We have Scorsese.
Okay.
We have, ironically enough, Christopher Nolan is still here, so you'll get to plug him into one. Quentin Tarantino. So I don't think should be a top 10 director, but whatever. Alfred Hitchcock.
Ooh, okay.
David Fincher.
Okay.
Simon says Kubrick's Lego Batman, and Steven Spielberg.
Ooh, okay.
Akira Kurosawa.
Oh, I know exactly which one he's getting.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Oh.
You're never going to forgive PTA for Licorice Pizza, are you?
I'm really not. No, I'm just going to have to keep my eyes looking backward prior to last year as much as possible.
2 more. David Lynch.
Oh no.
And finally, the Coen brothers.
Ooh, okay. By the way, you're going to be really proud of me. Guess who spelled it right this time? Because I never do.
No, Cohen. Yeah,
exactly.
Sadly, a director, like it kind of sucks. Like, for my favorite directors, just missed this list. But Tarkovsky, Edgar Wright, Ingmar Bergman, and Wes Anderson. But that's we can plug those into later. So, but that can be a future game with different directors. But yes, so You have your 11 directors. While Mara's thinking, I'll repeat them. We have Kubrick, Scorsese, Nolan, Tarantino, Hitchcock, Fincher, Spielberg, Kurosawa, Paul Thomas Anderson, David Lynch, and the Coen brothers. Yes, I realize they're all men. I did not make this list.
And will you also go over what films we're including for anybody that that wasn't tuned in?
Yes. Batman 66, Batman 89, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I realize I missed that one in release date order again. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises, the Lego Batman movie, and The Batman. I believe that's everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, where are we plugging everything in? Mara, you have the power to rewrite history.
All right. God, it actually hurts me that I have to redo The Batman because I don't want to.
I feel like there's an obvious choice for The Batman, I will say.
Well, it's funny because I think I know who you would say, but...
I'm not saying that it's my choice. I'm just saying that there's an obvious general choice that I think most people would say.
Me too, but I'm not going to say that choice.
Yeah, I think we're both thinking of David Fincher.
I actually thought people would say Scorsese.
Oh, that makes sense. I'm just saying, a lot of people compared it to Seven for some reason.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I could see the parallel.
I kind of get it.
Tonally.
Yeah. So I figured people would say Fincher. Scorsese would also make sense. Yeah, I just, for comedic purposes, I want to see Kurosawa's Batman 66. But,
Ooh, interesting.
Simon asked why Michael Bay isn't top 11 director. I'm not going to answer that. For those wondering, so yeah, while Mara is thinking, since I did just bring this game on her, while I spring the rest of, it on you. So the directors who just missed this list: Tarkovsky, Edgar Wright, Ingmar Bergman, Wes Anderson, Denis Villeneuve, Clint Eastwood, Coppola, Terrence Malick, Jean-Luc Godard, a couple who just missed. But yeah, I think this could be a fun new game that we could play in the future.
I like this. This is fun.
And chat, I want to see your guys' suggestions based off of the directors given, as to what you would place in.
Sorry.
There's Robbie again. All right.
I'm almost done
here. All right. I will put the list of directors in chat so that way people can see it. There's the first one. All right, how many do you have, Mara, currently?
I have 9 done, so just a couple more seconds.
Right. So it's Kubrick, and then tough final votes.
Just wanted to make sure I had everything ironed out. So again, bear in mind, this is what I would like to see. Some of these are because they're interesting. Some of them are because it would be so different than what we have. And others are because it would be the movies that I would like to preserve. I think that they would keep them in that same kind of vein and tone and style. So I'm not saying these are right answers. These are just my answers.
Yes.
So how would we like to do this? Would we like to go movie by movie or director by director?
Let's go movie by movie, starting with Batman 66.
I would first like to know who you think I would say for all of these.
Oh, I have to guess? All right. I'll guess before each one. So Batman 66, I think that I'm going to say you went with irony and said David Lynch.
I did not. I went with someone who I feel like could actually like keep the like camp, but perhaps bring a little more earnestness to it. And I picked Steven Spielberg.
Oh, Spielberg. Okay.
Oh. I honestly was thinking like where he would fit, and because he likes to tap into, you know, feelings and stuff, and there's a lot of warmth, but there's plenty of comedy in what he does. But I think that camp is something that I'd love to see him play with more if it works. Yeah. And so I thought he could be an interesting fit, because I love Batman 66 for what it is. I don't want to change it and like turn it into a total like depressing noir or anything.
Yeah. I like that. I think that makes sense for Spielberg. I think the only other option where I could have placed Spielberg was one of the animated films.
Yeah, I thought about that. Because
of Tintin. So he would have experience. But I do like that. If we're remaking Batman 66, I think we could definitely, I think the film would probably focus a lot more on like the Batman and Robin relationship. Which could be fun to explore. Maybe in a similar way to like the Lego Batman movie and how that looks.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Next, we have Batman 89. I think you said Scorsese.
I did not. I said David Fincher.
Okay, that was the other one. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, because that one, I like it. I like it a lot how it is, and I wouldn't want to change it too terribly much. But I mean, his spin to make it a little bit more edgy could be good without like distorting it too much from what I like.
I agree. I'm not the biggest fan of that movie, but I would like to see Scorsese's take on it. Batman Returns. So this is interesting. So this is the first one where this is normally another Burton film, but I don't know where you go here. Did you go Tarantino?
No, I was like, okay, based on what's the content of that movie, if I wanted to have Fincher do 89, I wanted Scorsese to do Returns.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's got like political elements and stuff, and I felt like that could work. Like, we'll see.
Scorsese working with Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman would be.
It's pretty dope.
Great. Yeah. Okay. So these are actually the ones that I was most intrigued for: Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. So Batman Forever, I'm gonna say.
Do you want to go Mask of the Phantasm first?
Oh, sorry, Mask. That's the third time. Jesus Christ. Mask of the Phantasm. What'd you do? I want to see Lynch do an animated film, so I'm going to predict David Lynch.
I picked Tarantino because I thought because it's an original story, so there's no canon to like be brought in where he could like heavily stylize something and people would get upset about it. So I thought that was the perfect place to put him.
The one that he can not mess up the easiest, because I think that he's easily the worst director of these 11.
I think he's almost the most easy director to like pick out, like as far as a style and an imprint. And I'm not saying that's a great thing or a bad thing, but I think that it doesn't mesh well with any Batman property. And so I felt like number one, animation could be really cool. Because yes, there's a visual style he could bring to it, but he wouldn't be able to be like hyper violent because it's animation. There's like literally not that much violence you can actually animate that looks as gruesome or grotesque as live action. And also, again, original story. People couldn't get angry if they were like, this isn't what the comic books told me, you know?
Yeah. Maddie wants the Guy Ritchie Batman movie. That could be kind of fun instead of Lock, Stock, and Smoking Barrels. Yeah, that could be fun.
That could be really fun.
Okay, buddy.
All right, now Batman Forever. Now I get to see the thing that I was the most excited for. I am going to say that I know. I'll say it again. I'll say the Coen Brothers.
David Lynch.
This is where you went Lynch. Okay, how does David Lynch's Batman Forever look?
So here's the thing: it's like you've got a lot of. I feel like I would like to see something dramatically like. I want it to ooze like extra, like. Okay,
Lynchiness?
So you've already got kind of like a little bit of like emo style like stuff going on in the movie, and I feel like, you know what? Let's just ruin people's emotions and let's just dig in and make people really like feel things they don't want to feel and almost regret the experience, but go back for more time and time again, which is basically kind of his filmography.
Yeah. Like, how is it rewritten? Like, imagine if he just makes it like style of Eraserhead, like just random noise the whole time, black and white, lots of big wide shots. I'd be down for that. Especially if he keeps
feel like the dream talk and everything, like you've got lots of places to go there.
I see that. I see that. Yeah, okay. So then for Batman and Robin, where did you go here? I'll just arbitrarily pick one and say Kubrick, but I don't know.
PTA.
Is this because you don't like PTA now?
No, let me put it this way. No, so okay. One thing that PTA loves to do is examine relationships. Like in every movie, there's some sort of relationship that's examined. I want to examine Batman and Robin's relationship. I want to examine like Mr. Freeze and Nora Freeze. I want to like get into relationships more. And you never know where that could go.
I agree. I'm curious, what's your favorite PTA?
Ooh. It's tough. There's like two that stand out.
My two that I go back and forth between is There Will Be Blood and Punch Drunk Love.
See, for me, There Will Be Blood and The Phantom Thread are really...
Phantom Thread's third for me, yeah. It's really close.
Yeah.
Thank God, everything is fine. You've got your custom and everything. Yeah. Well done, Simon. Yeah, okay. I actually kind of like that. I like that a lot. So now our remaining directors are Kubrick, Nolan, Hitchcock, Kurosawa, and the Coen brothers, right?
Yes.
So 3 of them will go to the Dark Knight trilogy. I am going to be so for Batman Begins, I think that you did Hitchcock.
I did not. I did Stanley Kubrick.
Oh, okay. Okay. Can I, before you say what you're going to say, did Hitchcock do one of the Dark Knight?
Well, trilogy? I feel like if I say that, though, then like that's going to predispose you to picking him for one of the next 2 movies. I don't want to do that.
Well, I was just I was making my prediction now.
Oh, okay. No, I did not pick him for the Dark Knight.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I felt like it's something that I think would be different, but good different. And I don't know if I want to say how it would be different. Because, I mean, all of his movies are super different, but like he can get very introspective, but he can also do big. And I feel like Batman Begins is both a really introspective movie and a big movie. And so I think that he could lend a very certain touch to it. Plus, I mean, he was pioneering with like practical effects and also like the use of cinema, like visual effects and stuff. So I think that could maybe even make a better looking Batman Begins.
Yeah. I mean,
especially third act wise.
Kubrick's Batman Begins, like, yeah, I definitely think that we're delving way more into Batman as a person and what makes up Bruce Wayne. Could be interesting. Could be very, very interesting. For the Dark Knight, I think that you went with Kurosawa.
I kept Christopher Nolan for the Dark Knight because I really I love the making of that movie. Like the special features are some of my favorite special features on any Blu-ray ever. And almost every time we watch the movie, I'm like, we gotta go watch the special features right after. So I'm not gonna say it's a flawless, perfect movie because I think that some of the Two-Face stuff is rushed and a little ham-fisted, and the way that it all worked at the end was it falls apart a little bit for me. But the practical stunts and of course the Heath Ledger performance, and I like the pivot. I like that it pivoted a little bit darker without going like meh. So I would want to keep it the way it is.
That was a bit of a wish stick because I wanted to see Kurosawa's The Dark Knight, but
yeah, I'd be okay with that. But I think you're gonna like where I put him.
Okay. Did you put him on the Lego Batman? Okay. I think Nolan would have made a good Dark Knight. That doesn't feel like his style. Okay, for The Dark Knight Rises, I haven't gotten a single one of these right so far. For The Dark Knight Rises, did you put the Coen brothers on it?
I did not. I put Kurosawa because I feel like there's a lot of like samurai, like shogun-esque themes that could be in that movie and could be explored better.
As far as like passing on the mantle.
Also like a man against an organization and like vast sprawling landscapes and an interior fight against oneself. There's all sorts of that stuff in his film. So I feel like he could improve that movie dramatically because he could explore those themes more. And I just think that could be very interesting.
So what you've just pitched is Christopher Nolan redoing the Dark Knight trilogy, but working with Stanley Kubrick and Akira Kurosawa.
It's like wish fulfillment to the nth degree, right?
Okay. So
I like this game, though. We have to do this a lot.
We have Hitchcock and Lego Batman movie. So my prediction, or Hitchcock and Coen Brothers. I think we're going Coen Brothers, Lego Batman, Hitchcock the Batman. Did I get them?
Yes, you did get those two.
Okay. Coen Brothers, Lego Batman.
Coen Brothers Lego Batman was the first one I filled in. I was like, I know exactly who I want to do that.
That I think they elevated even, especially if Lord and Miller are still producing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Working with the Coen Brothers. Yeah, that could be really, really fun.
Well, and I thought like the first thing I thought of with the Batman, I was like, okay, it's a sort of like not really like noir, but it's a detective story because this is the first Batman movie that really gave us Batman as the world's greatest detective. And I was like, okay, who would do a great detective story? And I was like, oh, I don't know, a guy that wrote detective stories.
Yeah, obviously.
And obviously his films are visually stunning. He also deals really well with darkness. I mean, you never know, he might have elected to do it in black and white, or depending on when it was made, that may have been the only medium available. Like it could have been, I think it could be really, really cool. And I wanted to keep it as similar as possible because I did like a lot of what was in the movie.
Yeah.
This was so fun.
That could be a fun thing. Yeah, next time we do it, I'll give you the options and the picks beforehand, so that way we don't have time while you're filling it in. But it was
I didn't make you riff for that long, at least.
Yeah. Yes. You were graciously very fast. But I think that this is definitely a game that we will have to play more in the future.
And plus, you know what we should do too, if we have other guests or if Dan is here, we should also give them the list and see what we would all pick and if any of us would overlap and what we all thought about it. That could be a really fun actual segment, not even just a game.
Yeah. It's fun. I like delving into directors' works, understanding where they fit in with, other films, especially like different eras. It's like in sports when you say like, like what if like Joe Montana and like Tom Brady, like they were playing at the same time, then like it's like, we can do the same thing here. So I agree. Simon wants a John Waters Batman movie. Yeah, sure.
I like that. That's funny.
That's pretty.
I love that I get that reference now, by the way, after watching his whole filmography.
All right. Well, anything else that we want to do, or is that, as we say, the show?
I mean, honestly, in a way, it's nice to have a little like a tight 90 show because, I mean, we're going to have a long show the next couple weeks because we're going to have the kiddies. And then the next week after that, I imagine we're going to really be talking about the actual Oscars and what happened there. So in addition to all the other stuff with new releases and whatnot. So because I believe we'll have The Lost City that week.
And Everything Everywhere all at once.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes.
I actually haven't ever watched it, but I might for June, so that's a maybe, Nick. Solid maybe.
Yeah, solid maybe. Also, just catching up on because I've started watching TV. I watched the first season of Succession. I've started on the second season.
Did you love it?
Succession is absolutely phenomenal, and I'm loving it.
Oh, I'm so happy! I love that show so much.
So yeah, I'm gonna try to catch up on stuff for the Emmys. In September, so I have like 6 months, and
plenty of time.
It's so far I'm caught up on Ted Lasso, and then I'm working on Succession, so good times ahead. Oh, and then briefly, Simon, I finally signed up to Letterboxd during the stream. Followed Trevor. Thank you. Couldn't find Mara though. Mara, is your account linked somewhere? Yes. Or
that I had a typo though. Sorry, because I'm typing on my other keyboard.
Yes, Mara is Brown Dwarf Star, all one word. Not it's she's
as
covert.
one does.
Covert. Not.
I mean,
no Maras to be found.
It's not like people don't know that I'm watching Intergeekdom movies because, of course, I have to watch the same movies over and over again all year long. But I'm actually really behind. I'm about 3 weeks behind. I have to catch up. Basically, everything Dan watches, I watch. So, and vice versa. But yeah, typically I'm logging and I'm going back and I'm adding in everything that I've seen, and I'll start posting reviews and stuff there as well. So I think that does it. I think we did a good job, didn't we?
I mean, I think that's up to the audience to decide, but I think we did a good job. I had fun.
I also had fun. I still have a headache though, so I'm gonna start the outro now.
All right.
I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Please tune in next week. Spread the word. It's going to be a really fun show. It's just going to be us celebrating movies. We have lots of great categories. We even have a worst performer of the year award. So, I mean, there's going to be a little bit of shade thrown, but not at the human beings, just at the performances. But celebrating a lot of fun stuff. We're doing genre-based categories. We're doing genre-based categories. We're doing categories that don't exist anywhere else that we made up, like best movie animal. So we're going to be doing all sorts of different fun stuff. We'd love to see you there. Also, please, if you would like to, be prepared to submit any bids for kitties, because they will be mailed out to you promptly, and you can cherish them forever. You could possibly use them as Christmas ornaments, just saying, or Hanukkah shrub ornaments if you're like me. So we'd love to see you there next week. So please tune in if you're interested. Trevor, do you have anything else specifically going on your channel, which is linked in the description, everybody?
Yes. Yeah. So PGA awards are tonight. We're expecting Power of the Dog, maybe Coda. But I will be talking about those tomorrow. Tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow,
you can, but
I most likely will. But tomorrow on Oscar Buzz, which is my weekly podcast. We're also, depending on when the WGA awards happen, be talking about those. It's just all things awards. So that's Trevor Matteson Talks Movies. The Oscars are a week from now. I guess 8 days from now, technically right now. But they're a week from now. I could not be more excited. The day before the Oscars, myself and Thomas, my co-host, will be doing a live stream of our final predictions. So that will be very fun. I'm on Twitter at TM Talks Movies. I don't tweet that much, but I occasionally will. So you can follow me there. I'm in Letterboxd at Trevor Matteson. If you follow me, you will have seen a bombardment of Bo Burnham over the past day. And then I'm also on the Banana Meter. Also, Maddie, worst performer has to be Jared Leto.
Can't
I can
guarantee
neither confirm nor deny who I voted for.
He was nominated, though. We all know that.
Yeah. I may or may not have voted for Tim. Maybe.
But to answer your question, though, Nick, we will be on Saturday, the normal day, not only because the Oscars are on Sunday, but because the Kitties are a special occasion that should not be shared with any other special occasions. And we want to also get our awards out, even though they've already been voted on and whatnot. We would like to do it beforehand. That way there's no influence of the Oscars whatsoever, or that could be inferred. We did our nominees before the Oscar nominations came out as well. So we are a completely independent organization.
So basically, we don't want to have what happened to the Critics' Choice happen. No shade thrown at the Critics' Choice, but a little bit of shade thrown at the Critics' Choice.
Right? It's not like I live in a house with somebody that voted for those.
And I'm sure that he voted by actually, what he thought was the best and not just trying to predict the Oscars.
Accurate.
All right. That is the show.
That is the show.
And Mara will do the outro thing now.
The cat says bye. I say bye. He says bye. Spidey says bye. Bye.